He asks what brings her here. We see that Gyeonga is with him still. She tells him that he needs to take a look at this, and she holds it out in front of him. Gyeonga asks what it is, as Chul opens it, and he says it's finally time, as it's his naming ceremony. And it was sent by none other than Myeongjong. Chul wonders why exactly Myeongjong is the proxy patriarch, saying that his father must not be home right now, but he didn't hear anything about an expedition. But Gyeonga sits there shaking, and then yells because of the fact that he has to go to the naming ceremony, and he asks what's wrong. She says that she finally got the hang of it, and she needs his guidance now more than ever, and he'll have to stay for a while if he goes, so he shouldn't do it. Chul says it's been a year since the deal, and all this time they've been researching mana techniques. Modern mana techniques, which use the mana circle as the core. And ancient mana techniques, which use the mana paths as the core. And a new type of mana that combines the two of them. Gyeonga said that successfully combining the two was her dream. She wants it to passively accumulate mana, and transform its traits in the mana circle, and then use the mana paths to control and utilize it. She asks if he has to go, but Chul says thanks to this method, he's able to utilize the mana much more efficiently than other kids his age. She continues asking him not to go. And he says that she knows he has too, and she just looks super sad about it. He tells her not to worry, as it won't be as long as usual. And he intends to continue their work. She looks surprised by this. She is genuinely not all there upstairs, and she asks how he intends to continue their work when he's going to be super busy because of the lessons. He smirks, saying that he's going to proceed with the mana technique training and recovery of the ancient mana techniques simultaneously. A bit later, we see a man saying that they will begin today's training, as they have them in some weird test tubes. He says first they will endure magic attacks for 30 minutes. We are introduced to the Blood Tiger Squad group leader and the instructor for Chul and Hwa, and his name is Jang Wook. As the magic attacks start flying out within the tube, we see them getting blocked by a barrier around Chul. Wook says that he predicted Chul would have failed this right away, since he doesn't even have the most basic training. However, he's using mana techniques right now to deflect the attacks. Chul opens his eyes and even glares at Wook, which surprises him. Wook can tell that he's testing himself and comparing himself to Hwa, checking his skill level. And he wants them to give him higher level lessons. But he's still just a 10-year-old bastard child. He starts laughing at the fact that he's illegitimate. But says that calling him that after seeing how talented he is would be rude, and he'd better reflect on his past behavior, as he will do his best to teach him whatever he can. As this will be more than just lessons for the naming ceremony. A bit later, we see Chul stretching, saying that he's done. While throwing shade at how the household is insane, as they're throwing a kid into a device that constantly activates magic in order to grow resistance against magical attacks. He says that something else surprised him as well, as he didn't expect an apology from Wook. He did notice a difference in tone towards him. But it sure did catch him off guard. He decides that he's going to go rest for a bit. As Hwa comes up behind him, she reaches towards him, and he deflects her hand, and she calls him a bastard, saying that they need to talk. He asks what she's trying to do right now. She tells him to watch his mouth, as she is a legitimate child and he is not, and she's also 1 year older than he is. He tells her that he doesn't have time to talk to her, but he just doesn't want to deal with this. She tells him not to ignore her, as she imbues her fist with some aura. He can't believe she's even using mana, and that he really just wanted to blatantly ignore her, but it seems like it's not going to be an option. He easily dodges her attack, and grabs her by the throat. He says that if she wants to whine and cry, to go do it in their mother's arms, as he's busy, and he doesn't want her to bother him. He lets her go in sighs. She says that this is all his fault because of what he did at the steel selection ritual, and that she's always compared to him. He should just be invisible like any other illegitimate child, and that's not fair. She can't even sleep at night, and has to skip meals as she's constantly training, but he was born talented. She says she didn't even want to do this, and starts to mention her mother, but stops herself from saying it aloud. He says that it must be real convenient to just blame others. Just like she said, he's a bastard child, so he can't do that. If she can't sleep, then she shouldn't do it. If she can't catch up to him even by skipping on meals, then she should stop eating, and if she wants to resent him, then she should do whatever she can to surpass him. Then she can get an apology from him. That's how this family works after all. She calls him arrogant and gets pissed, saying that she's going to do much better than him at the naming ceremony. She's going to make sure that he begs for forgiveness, telling him not to forget. He tells her that he's looking forward to it, and then it jumps to the Section 7 training hall. This is only for those with direct lineage. We see Hwa's maid surprised and welcoming none other than Hwayan. Hwayan says that she has to talk to her daughter alone. She then enters the room, as we see her hitting a practice target. Hwayan asks what she is doing, which surprises her, and Hwa says that she was training. Hwayan says that she heard she lost, and that she's sure she told her she should break her rivals, and that she's disappointed in her, and it would have been better if she had quit this too, if she was just going to avoid getting lectured. She doesn't even want to do that anymore. Hwa says that she knows, that's why she thinks she's training, but she's doing it because she wants to. Hwayan asks what she means, and Hwa says that she will beat him no matter what, and not because she told him to. It's a choice that she's made, and she'll do this on her own. Huiyan asks if this means she was motivated by the bastard child. Hua realizes that she can't really explain it to her, but Huiyan gets right into her face and lifts her chin, saying that she is a legitimate child, and that she and him have fundamentally different standings. Her winning against him should be a given, but instead she's being motivated by him. She holds up some kind of liquid substance, saying that it's called dreamlike trance, and that it's a lethal poison. If she cannot surpass him, then she should use this to get the advantage, and this is the family's way after all, as she leaves her standing there holding the poison. Back to Chul's. Gawa says this makes no sense as she's looking at the monitor, and it says that Chul is rank 1 in mana arts, weapon arts, and the written exam for his report card. Chul tells her not to have any worries, and she hugs him, saying that she hasn't done anything for him, yet he's done so well. He tells her not to say that, and then they hear somebody hauling absolute cheeks, which surprises them, as Gyeonga bursts into the room, saying that they should go train. He tells her he just finished, and she says that's why they have to go because training mana helps relieve fatigue. Chul tells her that he's never heard of such an effect, and she tells him that it's probably true. He sighs, saying that it's fine, and he has something to show her. She asks if it's what she thinks it is and if he has finally attained his first star, and smirks at her. We learn that normally you have to undergo 3 stages of mana arts. The Iron Body stage where you strengthen your body. The Qi Gong stage where you change the nature of your mana. The Extraordinary Ability stage where you demonstrate supernatural abilities through mana. But his aunt's mana arts are different. Even if it's the same first stage, you can do different things and show more abilities. That's why her mana arts are divided into the stages of stars. She tells him that that's actually perfect, as he definitely has 1 star. She thought that he would find it more awkward to learn how to use his mana paths, and she thought it would take another year at least. He says he learned how to use them while getting lessons, and the training sure is crazy, and he failed at mana control, and the balance of his mana circle and mana paths were almost shattered. He says that he should have just left it. Mana flows naturally like water, after all. And it turns out their body itself was a vehicle for mana. She looks down at her hands, thinking about it. Also, for some reason, she keeps calling him baby. Bit weird. But she says that it might take a long time, but she thinks she can do it too. He sighs, saying that at least she realized that. Then she hugs him, thanking him, and starts squeezing him, low-key almost killing the dude. She says that's perfect, and now they can move on to 2 stars. And he asks if she's serious. She says that what he achieved is 1 star, but he knows that's different from the traditional first stage. He says he does, and she asks what he thinks he's the best at. He goes to say the sword, but she says she doesn't think so. He says that she's never seen him in swordsmanship training though, but she says that she actually saw him a few times when she was bored, and what she's saying is that he has an ability more outstanding than his swordsmanship, and his greatest ability is his mana arts after all. And his talents for mana arts are incredible to the point where everything else dims in comparison, and nobody was able to follow the mana arts she taught in the past. He wonders if she's right because he was ridiculed in his last life because he couldn't use mana arts. She tells him that's why she doesn't think attaining 2 stars would be difficult for him. And if he succeeds that, the naming ceremony will be a piece of cake. She says from now onward she'll teach him proper techniques, so he should focus. He says okay, but asks what that is beside her. She looks down at a box to her right. She taps it, saying that they're nothing too special, as something out of it flies by, cutting Chul's cheek, and she tells him that they're actually metal marbles, and she looks super happy about it. She says that he needs to be able to move while releasing mana, since using mana arts while staying still is no different from dead mana arts. It's time for them to begin with the real training. She's a bit of a psycho. She asks if he wants to begin. But he does not look ready for it. A bit later, we see Chul with his instructor Manhwa. We are introduced to another member of the Blood Tiger squad and another squad leader named Lee Joanquin. He says from now on he's going to teach them the secret techniques, and that they should choose the weapon they want and to come back up, and he'll give them 1 minute, so don't take their time. Hua just starts staring at Chul, and it pisses him off, and he tells her to just go ahead say something if she has to. It startles her, and she says that she has nothing to say. She says she thought he used the sword, but he says nah. She says that every time she saw him using weapons, it was always a blade, and he walks up holding multiple weapons. Joanquin asks what he's doing, and Chul says that he told him to choose a weapon and come, so he did. Joanquin says he definitely told him to bring the weapon he uses, and Chul says these are all the weapons he uses. Joanquin thinks about it, and he says that he thought he wasn't dumb, but turns out he's a complete idiot, and to remember what he's going to say from now on. He said he'll teach him the secret techniques, but he's not teaching posture or skill. There are many secret arts called enlightenment in the Li clan. In order to learn those secret arts, they need to learn the basics, and they need to awaken the 6th sense sleeping in their blood, and that he's going to awaken their senses now. They shouldn't have too hard of a time waking up their 6th sense with what he's about to do. Hua wonders what it's going to be, and before Chul can reply to tell her that she needs to prepare herself, Joanquin dashes instantly in, and is surprised and just barely in time blocks an attack from Joanquin that sends him flying backwards. Jo Eun-kwon is surprised that he actually blocked that. Chul just can't believe that he has to do this crazy shit again, and he didn't receive this training properly before he regressed, but this time he'll make sure to absorb everything he can. But that doesn't turn out to be as easy as he thought, as we see him getting smacked in the face. Hwa comes behind also, only to get bodied by Jo Eun-kwon. As Chul hits the floor, he says it's been a month since they began training with Jo Eun-kwon, and they've been training so hard that their bones break, and they are getting internal injuries. And it's not the type of training a 10-year-old kid should be doing, but he doesn't intend to continue whining about it, as he's starting to get the hang of it. We see Hwa snap out of it, and she asks if she really passed out again. Chul says yes, and this is the 22nd time, and Chul only passed out 16 times. She tells him that it's only because she wasn't prepared. While they're yapping, Jo Eun-kwon says that the 8th child sure does have a sturdy body, and he's been attacking them, but she hasn't been seriously injured. And that Chul, he felt this on the first day too, but he's definitely something special. At first, he thought he was an idiot because he brought a whole bunch of different weapons, but he was actually proficient in all of them, and he knew how to utilize them as well. He starts to smile, saying it's been a month now, and it seems that he's starting to get the hang of it, and then he finds it pretty interesting. He says that they'll continue training, and then they should get back to their positions. A bit later we see them both gassed out. Then Chul calls out to her, and she asks what he wants. He says that he'll give her a signal, and she just needs to block his attack once for him. And she asks why she should do it, and he tells her that if she doesn't want to, he just thought they could get a nice attack in. She doesn't look happy about it, but asks if he's sure. He nods his head, saying yes. And she charges in, saying that he's going to have to pay her back for this. Chul says there's no chance of winning at his skill level right now, and he has no choice but to take advantage of their numbers. So Chul says that working together is actually not a bad decision, but that's only if things go according to their plan. Chul goes for a blind spot, but Jo Eun-kwon predicts it and dodges the attack, and then Chul deflects the follow-up. Jo Eun-kwon looks impressed, and then dashes forward. Chul readies his next attack as Jo Eun-kwon does too, and yells, telling Hwa that she should do it now. He then backpedals while she flies in, and Chul throws his spear aside, swapping to his sword. He says there's only one way he can get a proper attack in, as he starts to prepare his sword, and he says that he has to use the ultimate attack that he got from Boundless, which is the Split Demon, as he charges in, imbuing his sword with the aura. Jo Eun-kwon looks surprised, as Chul's already closed the gap. We see him release the grip on his sword, only to fly in with his fist instead. As Jo Eun-kwon looks surprised, we hear him make contact with something, but Chul laughs, and says that he's surprised that he actually blocked that. Chul then starts to spit up blood, as he was sent flying into a wall, getting pretty injured. Jo Eun-kwon says that it's been 37 days, and he congratulates him on awakening his sixth sense. But he tells Hwa that she still has a while to go, and he throws her right beside him and says that's it for today's training. She asks Chul what happened to his plan, saying that she trusted him. Jo Eun-kwon looks down at his hand, saying that he used mana but he still got through. Though it was only a small amount, he ended up breaking his rule of not using it. The ability to judge that it would be better to give up on a certain attack means that Chul has some good sense, and that everybody else in the household is definitely going to be afraid of Chul in the future. It took Hwa 47 days to awaken hers, and they graduated from Jo Eun-kwon's lessons, and Chul used his remaining time to rest and review what he had learned. And that was when he got a surprise visit from his oldest brother, Myeongjong. This is Taishan's first son, and he was given the title Twin Star, and he is almost a second rank in magic and a second rank martial artist. People admired and feared him, but to Chul he was his sole brother. Myeongjong says that he's sorry he hasn't been able to pay much attention to him despite being his brother, as he's been pretty busy lately. Chul says it's alright, and Myeongjong says this must be the first time he's seeing him, yet he recognized him immediately. Chul says of course, he may only be his half-brother, but he can't not know the face of his eldest. Myeongjong tells him to stop using the term half-brother, as they may have different mothers, but he is still much a brother to them as their other siblings. Myeongjong says that he hasn't even gone through his naming ceremony, yet he seems to be pretty harsh on himself. Chul apologizes, and Myeongjong sighs, saying that there's no need to, and he doesn't need to be polite to him either, as he's his brother. Myeongjong then says that he got a gift to commemorate their first meeting, and he got it when he was accepted into France's Eiffel Magic University, and he thinks he'll get more use out of it than him. It's a miracle medicine called nectar, the wine of the gods. Chul says it's a very high-tier miracle medicine that only 500 milliliters a year can be made in France's Magic Tower, and he says this is pretty valuable, and thanks his brother. Myeongjong says that he's a bit different. Chul asks what he means. Myeongjong says that all of their other siblings have just seen him as a rival, and he's actually glad that he's different, although he's not used to it. Chul tells him that he seems to be mistaken. It's not that he doesn't see him as a rival, and he's his rival since he's a member of the clan, so he shouldn't just think of him as a cute little brother, as he might grow up to be his biggest rival, and he hopes that it'll be a great competition. Myeongjong starts laughing, saying that he looks forward to it, the day that he does make that a reality. Chul says that even in his past life, Myeongjong genuinely cared for him, and that he'll make sure to protect him this time around. It jumps to a few days later. The day of the second trial of the Lee clan, The naming ceremony has finally arrived, and they go to the red and blue island. It's an island where the land's color changes depending on the amount of mana in the atmosphere, clan's naming ceremony since ancient times. I'm not sure who this is, but they say they will now explain what they need to know about the naming ceremony. And both Chul and Hua will have to survive on this island for 3 weeks in order to prove themselves. These devices have been given to keep track of their locations, so please make sure they keep them at all times. The trial chamber will be open for 2 days after the final 3-week period. As they both equip the items, they get dropped off on the island and then left. Hua says that she has something to say, and Chul will ask if she's finally made up her mind. She asks what he's talking about. He says that he knows she's been trying to say something to him ever since they were being trained. She asks how exactly he knew that, and he wonders how he was meant to not notice because she was always so hesitant after the training. He tells her to go ahead and say it, as he'll listen. She holds the listening device they were given, looking down at it, and pretty much tells him to take his off and put it away. He does so, asking her what's up. She hands him the poison her mother gave, saying that it's called the dreamlike trance. It's only effective against children under the age of 15, and if it's exposed to the air for more than 5 minutes, it evaporates. Apparently, the poison will cause his mana path to malfunction for a long time once he intakes it. Chul asks who gave her this, and she says that she's not telling him that. She smashes it on the ground, surprising him. She says that there is no evidence anymore and that she's going to beat him fair and square without using any petty tricks. So she needs him to take this test seriously and do his absolute best. He tells her that even if she hadn't said any of this, he was going to do his best anyways. She tells him that's good, and to make sure to challenge the center of the island after he gets used to the environment, and she heard it's pretty dangerous. He says he knows, asking if she's worried about him or something. And then as they start arguing, they hear a very loud sound. And she tells him not to die, since she's going to head off now. He watches her leave, and he says that he did say that, but his destination is not the outskirts of the island. And he's going to head straight to the center. Straight off the rip. We hear Cheljung, seeing as expected of the 8th, she's quite outstanding. She's already finished the first assignment. And the number of animals she's defeated is quite astonishing, as we see them watching a NASA-like room. They say that despite it being her first practical experience, it's only expected, as there's no way she'd be underperforming after Jo Eunkwon's teachings. He asks if it was only 47 days. Jo Eunkwon says that she originally was not of this caliber, and it was expected that she would take 2 full months. While she had quite a bit of talent, that was all it was. However, someone provoked her to improve much faster, and it was none other than Chul. Cheljung asks what the boy is even doing, and Jo Eunkwon says that it seems like he's looking to set up a hideout. Cheljung calls him a coward, saying it's just like a bastard child to run away and hide, and that he's soiling the name of their clan. Myeongjung tells him to stop, and that trying to find a hideout in a dangerous environment should be considered strategic, and it's not something to scold him for as it's normal. The rest say that's true, but it seems their expectations have been set high due to Hwa's performance. Cheljung says that being normal in the clan is a sin, asking them if he is wrong or not. They say that he's right, and a person from their clan doing something average is quite a hilarious sight. Myeongjung can't believe they're mocking him just because of his background, wondering when their clan fell so low. Or perhaps it's always been like this, but he wonders what Chul's thinking by going to the center of the island. He looks over towards Tai Hong, who's anxious as shit, wondering what he's doing, and Myeongjung says it seems like he's not the only one who's concerned, and he sighs, really wondering what Chul's up to. Chul finds a cave, saying this place seems good enough, and he throws in some medicinal herb into it after burning it, and then blocks off the entrance. They start saying that his concealing skills are quite impressive. Cheljung then realizes something, asking what the hell he is doing. Chul takes off his tracking devices, putting them on a different leaf, and picks up another leaf covering the camera, completely blocking their vision of him. They have no idea what he's doing now. Jo Eunkwon starts laughing, and says that he's just as unpredictable as always. Now that the camera's been covered up, Chul says there's no reason to show them this, and that now he can use the boundless. Since he's on this island, he might as well salvage as much as possible, and it's time for him to head out. A bit later, we see him making a disgusted face, and low-key I would too. What the hell did bro cook? He says it's almost finished, but it's so nasty, asking if he really has to eat this, and that nobody in their right mind would think that this is a tea made from mana herbs. He didn't have enough money to purchase a cheap elixir back in his previous life, and he's glad that he's lived the way he did to learn this recipe. Gyeonga told him that there was a lot of mana on the island, so he should increase his mana as much as possible during his time stay. He says that she told him if he drank this tea, it would probably be more effective. He says that he finally drank all of it, and he says that was such a nasty taste. This marked the beginning of a lonely 3-week journey. It jumps to day 18 of the naming ceremony, specifically at Myeongjung's office. Somebody knocks at the door asking if they can enter, and Myeongjung says yes. He apologizes for interrupting. Myeongjung says that it must be bad news. We are introduced to his direct affiliate and the Asura Sword Squad's vice leader, Yoo Jang-hyun. He says it seems like a large vagabond group has entered South Korea's northern regions. He expected them to make their way through the unexplored region, but they are instead heading directly south. In 2 days' distance from them are the Man of Stone mines for their clan. Myeongjung says that vagabonds usually go through unexplored regions while committing all kinds of acts of crime. Myeongjung says there's no way those hyena-like bastards would enter their territory without some kind of scheme in mind. Jang Hyun says that they look like vagabonds, but it may just be a disguise, and it's possible that some other forces are behind them. Myeongjung says there was intel about the Nine Dragon stronghold moving their forces towards the north, the northern border as well. Zung Yoon's giant organization, the Nine Dragon stronghold, they share the border leading to the unexplored region with them, and they regularly provoke the clan by stepping into their territory. Myeongjung says it must have leaked out that their father isn't at home at the moment, and there is no better timing than now for their enemies to try something. Myeongjung asks if the intelligence branch is aware of this. Jang Hyun says that he was able to find out about this more quickly than them because of Myeongjung's orders to keep an eye on them. Myeongjung says that he should cooperate with the intelligence branch to figure out more about the matter, as he thinks there's a lot more to it, and he just hopes it's nothing more than a bad feeling. Then that night, back at where the naming ceremony is taking place, we see a magic circle appear as there's some kind of crack in the dimension. Somebody starts to exit with a smirk on his face. He says that 2 nights should be enough to kill one bastard child. The next day on the island, we see some kind of monster's foot as we are introduced to the 7th rank monster dragon named Draco. Chul is the one fighting it, and the monster prepares some kind of fire attack, blasting it out directly towards where Chul is standing. Chul readies himself and narrowly dodges underneath as it burns right by his ear, and charges forward right beneath the beam. Leaping off the ground with his sword imbued with mana, he screams whilst putting it overhead using the split demon, only for him to stab it directly in its skull, and it falls over dead on the spot. He sighs, saying that dragons sure are on a different level, and had he fought it when he had just got here, he would have been knocked out immediately. He managed to reach the dragon's territory 19 days after he entered the Red and Blue Island, but staying here any longer would be a waste of time, and there's another reason he came all the way here to begin with. He senses something and comes to a stop and wonders if it's really happening again. He crouches down in some bushes and says that it's just as he thought. As we see some 8th rank monsters, the Lizardman. Chul says that something's been off since yesterday. Lizardmen monsters that are only supposed to appear on the outskirts are here in the heart of the island, and are also attacking and running away. And that lizardmen aren't smart because they're lower in rank, then they might be affected by something external. And if that's the case, there's something more to this. As he swings forward, the lizardman is surprised and screeches as it starts to run away, and Chul says that he knew it. He cuts 2 of their heads off in an instant, and says that something happening once may be a coincidence, but now twice means that it's not, and he should follow it. I'm not sure if this is the lizardman's voice or somebody else's that say to confront the Lee clan and to fight them all. As it continues walking forward, we see that man who entered with a purple aura, and he says that those of the Lee clan sure are peculiar. And he wonders just how a boy so young managed to take on so many monsters alone, though it should be fine as he's just a little kid at the end of the day. The lizardman bows before him, and he says that he's definitely a boy who will fall for an obvious trap, and we are introduced to a trainer named Nishiyama Shugo. He says that he's sure he won't have to resort to Plan B, and Chul's watching from above a tree, saying that he was a bit doubtful because it was so blatantly obvious, but it really was a trap, and that if he has the ability to control monsters, he might be a trainer. And he wonders how an outsider could possibly get in here, but says that it isn't possible unless there was a teleportation spell circle set up here, and that would mean this is a Lee clan member's doing. He starts to laugh, saying that he should just notify the household and wait for reinforcements, but decides it would be too late by the time they get here, and he won't be able to find out who is behind this. That only leaves him one option. As he puts the listening device right in his pocket, he starts to use stealth arts. Turning semi-translucent, he says that he's going to hide his presence and take him down as he leaps off the tree, dashing forward instantly. He then leaps up behind Shugo with his sword overhand. As Chul gets closer, Shugo's bird starts to wake up, alerted to his presence and screeches, giving off an alarm. Shugo turns, wondering when he got so close, but Chul can't believe that he had a danger detection artifact. Guess it wasn't a bird. Shugo does manage to block the attack and create some distance between them. He says that for an illegitimate child, he's way better than he expected. Chul says that maybe he's just weak. He tells him to shut up, and sends in the lizard guys to go attack him. Chul uses the 3rd form of the 7-star sword, called the True Azure. As he instantly kills all 3 lizard men with clean, swift strikes, he then freezes up, realizing that he can't move as if it feels like there are chains wrapped all around his body. Shugo laughs, saying that he's fallen for it, and that the array he is in is one of the most advanced ones he could have used. It blocks up the mana circles of martial artists, and he is nothing but a powerless kid without mana. It's time for him to meet his inevitable end. Chul says that if it's just blocking the mana from his heart, then this shit is lightweight. As he starts to use his mana paths instead, he says that he probably should have thought of something better than these chains, as he dashes forward, breaking them, heading straight behind Shugo. Instead of hitting him though, he does a somersault over his head, which surprises Shugo, low-key. I don't know why he didn't just stab him in the back. and Chul asks if he's given up on running away. Shugo starts to panic, asking how he broke free, yet Chul says that he's not going to tell him that, and he's notified the household about him, so he should surrender. Shugo laughs, saying this is still okay, and he will eliminate him and regain his freedom. Chul asks what he's talking about, only for a giant shadow to loom over him, and actually break his sword, instantly sending him flying straight backwards into a tree, and he crashes into it, coughing up blood. He asks if that's what he thinks it was. As it continues walking forward, he looks up at it, and we see a giant monster, and he says that it's the Red and Blue Islands guardian, the Turtle Head Mountain. It's a 3rd rank, and it's basically a nightmare of a monster, and he can't believe that this 3rd-rate trainer has tamed it. Shugo says that he's quick to catch on, and he doesn't have perfect control, but it should definitely carry out the one order to kill him, and that he should just give up on fighting and accept his fate while he can. As he throws out some talismans, they start to fall around the floor on Chul, and he says he should calm down. If Shugo doesn't have perfect control over it, that means that he just needs to catch the trainer instead. In order to be able to do anything, there's only one option left, and he made it just in case, but he never expected to use it like this. This medicine was banned because its side effects were too intense, and it's called a mana booster. As he starts to circulate all of his mana, he says there's also one more thing. As his aura begins to increase, he starts to pour it into Boundless to activate it, and he says the techniques that Gyeonga said to use only in the most dangerous of situations, and that is now what he's going to have to do, as it's called the Heaven-Defying technique. If only he had killed Shugo earlier. He dashes off the ground, heading straight up towards the Turtle Mountain, swinging at it, sending out an aura wave. He doesn't even leave a scratch, but he stopped in his tracks, and now he's going to have to take it down with his follow-up ability. The Turtle Head Mountain, though, doesn't plan to sit idly by, as it lets out a screech, and Chul says that is called the Mountain's Cry, and it is a fear, and he can't move because of the mana waves that are coming towards him. But then the black aura from when he regressed starts to circulate around his heart, and has a light coat around his body, helping him resist the fear. He then runs forward, saying that now's his chance. As he holds his sword behind him, he begins to use the first technique, Boundless, which is the Split Demon, hitting the Turtle Mountain straight in its throat. It still wasn't enough to injure it, as it shoots out a giant-ass purple beam, instead in the midst of its fear, so much so that it even splits the clouds. Chul begins to start violently spitting up blood, saying that he doesn't have time, and he can't move for a while due to the side effects of the mana booster and the Heaven-Defying technique together, and only has 10 seconds left to find the trainer. As the countdown continues, it's now 4 left, and he senses something, saying that he can see a threat on the ground. With 3 seconds left, he spots Shugo's back, and Shugo turns within the final second, and Chul leaps forward, going straight for his throat, saying that he's not close enough, and if only he had grown a bit more. But then he remembers that he can just make his sword longer, using Boundless, as he does exactly that, and then slices the trainer across the chest. He then drops his sword to the floor, and says that he needs to take care of himself first, as it's really over if he passes out right now. And Gyeonga said to drink the nectar that Myeongjung gave him if he ever used the technique, and he's glad he brought it with him. And before any monsters get too close, he needs to take care of this guy, but his vision begins to go black.
If you came this far, please like, comment, and subscribe the channel for watching more video.